Hey guys, it's Joel and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all keeping very well. Now today, as you can see from the title of the video, we're actually doing a modification to the car. Now this is not a garage time episode. It's actually a fairly basic and simple modification, hence why I'm actually doing it, because as we all know, my mechanical abilities and knowledge aren't of the highest standard, let's say. But anyway, this is one that I think is quite interesting, hence I really want to feature a video of it, and one that I think a lot of you actually will be interested in too. So today I'm going to tell you about this modification and also how you install it. Before we get into that though guys, if you are one of the 75% or so of viewers that are not subscribed to the channel who watch my videos regularly, please do subscribe now. It makes such a huge difference. Now today then I've got something slightly different for you guys. This is a sport button mod. Now we're going to get into exactly what this does shortly, but this isn't a normal scenario where a company might send me a product and they pay me or they give me commissions on any sales. This is actually a friend of mine has designed this, and I asked him to send me one because, well, A, it'd be cool to install in my car, but also I think this is something fairly niche that a lot of you Z4 owners who you know, don't plan on ever getting rid of the Z4 and you like to spend money on it and do mods. This is something quite interesting to have. So we're going to get into what this actually does. But yeah, it actually comes in this quite nice packaging with the sort of logo on the front there. So this Z4 button mod essentially allows you to configure your sport button, your sport mode, how you like. Now for some people, and actually me initially, I sort of thought, well, hang on, it's a sport button. You sort of press it off if you, well, sorry, it always starts as off. And you know, when you get in the car, you switch it on if you want sport mode, vice versa. And you know, I still sort of think there's nothing wrong with that, but this sort of goes a little bit further and allows you to configure the sport button in, well, 3 ways. It has 3 modes, the first being force mode. So you can set it to force mode, which means no matter what you do, when you start the car, sport mode will be on. If you try and switch it off, it will remain on. So I guess if you are someone such as James, who designed this product, who always drives his Z4 with sport mode on, it's kind of handy actually, because it just will literally always have it on. You never have to think about it. The car is always in that state that you prefer. The next mode is default mode. What that'll do is just mean that when you start the car, sport button, the sport mode is on, and you can still switch it off as you please, but it just means that when you start the car, sport mode is on, which I guess is sort of, because it changes the throttle response, maybe that makes the starts a little bit loud. I don't know. So there's that one. And then there's also probably the most useful one, which is the remembered state mode. And it's, as it sounds, it will just remember how you left the car when you switched it off. So if you park the car up and you leave it in sport mode, as I often do actually when I come back from a drive, it means that when you start the car on again, the car will have sport mode enabled. And of course, wow, it's windy today. If you park the car and sport mode is off, the car will then start with sport mode off. Fairly self-explanatory, but yeah, let's install this. It should, well, I've seen a video, it's fairly straightforward. I will actually link James's video below, or 2 videos, which explain in about 3 minutes what this video is probably going to do in around 15. This is just more of a comprehensive sort of look at this, but his videos are actually super easy to follow if you're just looking to install this yourself. And also I'll mention now actually, James has very kindly offered to offer you guys a discount, as he knows many of you guys are Z4 owners, so this is appealing to the right sort of people. So in the description there's a link to this website, z4mods.co.uk, and also a coupon code which is Joel40, which means you'll get this for £40 including postage, whereas normally it costs around 55. So it's a nice little discount there for you, actually around 25% or something like that off. So it's very kind of James. Anyway, let's get this thing installed and we'll just check it all works fine, and yeah, have a look at exactly what it does. So full transparency, I haven't actually done this before, although I've watched the video on how to do it a couple of times. I haven't actually done this before. So like I say, we've got a male and female connector. They're going to go into the sport button here, but first we've got to take off the sort of gearbox casing, which is fairly easy to do in these cars. There we go. And that just sort of, you can pull that to the side like that. Then you're greeted by this, what is it, foam sort of casing. That you can just literally slip out like so. I'm just going to do that around here as well to make it a bit easier. And then I'm just gonna basically reach under here for the sport button and push it out towards me. So let me see if I can work this out.
2 hours later.
Okay guys, so situation update. You joined me maybe about an hour or so later. I did have a few issues getting the sport button out, and I think the reason being this has never ever been removed from this car, and this car's 16 years old now, so it was always going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I ended up getting my dad to help me, and we did get it out by pushing, I think if I did explain earlier, but you basically pull off the gearbox around. I took the foam completely out here, put the car into second gear, which actually just gives you a little bit more space, and then you just push, you can see my finger there, up through the bottom and push this sport button out. So that's basically exactly what you have to do. But yeah, big shout out to a couple of people on Instagram, especially Daniel Bockham, for helping. I actually went live on Instagram just now to ask for some advice. But yeah, with the help of you guys and my dad, we got it out. So definitely glad it's happened, and now I can of course do what this video is all about and install this modification. So I think, as I might have said earlier, we've got the 3 modes FDR for force mode, default mode, and remembering mode. So what I'm going to do is firstly do force mode, just to demonstrate sort of it not letting me switch sport mode off, and then after which I'm probably just going to put it in default mode, as that's how I want to leave it. What we're going to do first is take this, and we've got the female side, the male side. The female side, I should mention by the way, this sort of white plug you see here, that's what's originally plugged into the bottom of the sport button. So when you pull the sport button out of here, this white unit will be plugged into the bottom of it. All I've done, if I just demonstrate now, since I stopped recording, I have unplugged this, so it's plugged into the bottom of my sport button here, like so. So it came out like this. I've unplugged that because this is what's going to be plugged into our female connector on our modification. So I've pulled that through here, and you'll see why I'm doing this shortly. I'm going to plug in the female side. That's the other way around. Oh no, it is this way around. There we go, clips in nicely. And then what I'm going to do is thread. So here you can see I've got my mode, so I'm going to actually put that into forced now, which it is, and put that down here for a second. Then what I'm going to do is thread this up through here, which is our male connector, and this is what's now going to go into our sport button. And what I'm doing here is leaving the mode selector switch close by to here, as you can see there, because it means that if I want to change, and I will, if I want to change the mode selector, all I have to do is literally pull off the gearbox surround and I can just clip it, and that literally takes a couple of seconds. So this then plugs in to the female of the sport button, and again, let me just make sure I've got that the right way around. Gosh, I'm so terrible at these things. There we go, clipped in, nice. Okay, now what I'm going to do, before I sort of put it all back together, I might as well test out the different modes. So my keys should be in this car somewhere. Ah, they are in the ignition. So what I'm going to do is start the car up. It's going to be cold actually. But there you go, you can see the sport button came on for the start sequence, and now it's on permanently. If I try and turn it off, it just comes back on. I don't actually need to start the engine to do this, I don't think. So look, there you go. So no matter what I do, I want to turn sport mode off, I can't. And the reason for that is because it's in force mode, so sport mode is always on. That's pretty cool actually. If I turn this off again just to be safe, and then switch it to default, which is the middle one there, what should happen here is when I turn the car on, it starts with sport mode on, off and on, but now it will allow me to switch sport mode off, like so. That's really clever. And then of course the last function, which I won't demonstrate right now because it would involve starting the engine, I think, is remember last mode setting, where of course if I park the car, switch it off in sport mode, it would always switch back on in sport mode, and vice versa. So I'm going to leave it in default mode now, put everything back together, but that is pretty cool. because as you can see, you can, if you are someone like the owner who always has sport mode, you can just put it in force and never have to worry about that again. It will always be in sport. And if you're kind of like me and you always want the car to start up at least in sport mode and then choose it from there, default mode is the good one for you. So I'm going to leave it in default for now, make this all look pretty again. So sport button's going to go back in. I'll try and do this as smoothly as possible. And it should be, I believe, this way round. Hey, there we go. Cool, and that's all in now, nice and secure, as it was. Now I'm just going to put in the foam back to where that was, and I actually, yeah, like I say, I took it all out, so this might take a little bit of jostling around to get all of these bits back where they should be. Okay, that looks good. And then the last bit is obviously putting on this casing, and there we have it. Awesome. So let's just check that one more time. So default mode, it's always going to start my car in sport mode. And there we go, the car's cold, but you can see we've got that sport throttle response. That's cool, but it still allows me to switch it off. Nice, well there we have it, that's all installed. I'm going to let the car run for a little bit, I might as well now I've started it up. Yeah, that was, apart from the initial difficulty getting the sport button out, that was an extremely simple modification to do. It just involves obviously clipping in a couple of things, and I think someone's trying to call me, but I don't know where my phone is. Yeah, they are. So I hope you found that interesting. Like I said towards the start of the video, if you do want to get yourself one of these at a discounted price, James, the designer of this, is offering like 15 quid off essentially if you use the code JOEL40 at purchase. So yeah, this is a fairly sort of unique modification. Obviously it's aftermarket, it's not like a BMW official one, and I don't think it's something that many people have done. So this is probably the first time it's really been aired anywhere, and I'm glad I've had the opportunity to show you guys. So I will caveat on the other hand, I still do stand by the sort of fact that it really is not a necessity. For me personally, it's pressing the sport button off and on when I wish isn't too much of a chore. But I think now that I've got the mod and it's always coming on with sport mode, it will just, I almost won't think about it, and it will actually take away a little bit of I don't know, the chore of thinking about it. I am waffling now, I've been doing this for a little while, so I need to go and have some tea. But I hope you've enjoyed the video nonetheless. Apologies if it was a little bit rough and ready, but I'm doing my best to keep content out for you guys. That is interesting. I don't just want to put anything out there. So I do hope, guys, you have found this interesting. Let me know in the comments below. As always, make sure to give this video a like if you found it at all enjoyable, and I hope to see you in the future very, very soon.